The breaking point. The observation deck of the ESS Vigilant offered Commander Elena Reyes the most spectacular view of humanity's newest colony. New horizons stretched across the fertile plains of Kepler-62f, its gleaming domes and towers a testament to human persistence. 7 decades of faster-than-light travel had transformed humanity from a single-planet species to an interstellar civilization with 12 thriving colonies. Elena's comm unit chimed. "Commander, sensors have detected anomalous readings at the edge of the system." "Define anomalous, Lieutenant," she replied, already moving toward the bridge. "Unknown vessels, ma'am. Hundreds of them. Nothing like we've ever seen before." By the time Elena reached the bridge, the main display showed a formation of ships that defied human engineering. They moved with uncanny precision, their hulls reflecting starlight like liquid metal. "Open all frequencies," she ordered. "This is Commander Elena Reyes of the Earth Space Service vessel Vigilant. Unidentified vessels, identify yourselves and state your purpose." For 3 tense minutes, silence filled the bridge. Then the communications array lit up. "Human vessel," came a voice, speaking perfect English despite the alien timbre beneath. "I am Overseer Terrell of the Galactic Hegemony. Your presence has been noted and your expansion has been monitored. The Hegemony Council requests your immediate attendance." 12 hours later, Elena stood in a vast chamber aboard the Hegemony flagship. 7 different alien species sat in a semicircle before her, their physiology as varied as their apparent temperaments. Overseer Terrell, a tall being with iridescent skin and 4 arms, addressed her directly. "The Hegemony has governed this sector of the galaxy for 12,000 cycles," Terrell explained. "New species are welcome to join under our guidance and protection." "And what does this guidance entail?" Elena asked, maintaining her diplomatic bearing despite the implicit threat in the armada that had arrived unannounced. "Your military forces will be reduced by 95%. Your colonies will pay a resource tribute of 40% of all production. Your government will accept hegemony advisors to ensure compliance with galactic law. Your technology development will be supervised," Terrell stated matter-of-factly. "In return, you receive protection and limited access to hegemony technology." Elena's expression remained neutral. "And if we decline this generous offer?" The temperature in the room seemed to drop several degrees. "That would be unwise," Terrell responded. "The hegemony does not make requests twice. You have 14 Earth days to communicate your acceptance." Back on Earth, the United Earth government convened an emergency session. The hegemony's demands were unanimously rejected. "We didn't come this far to become vassals," President Amara Okafor declared. "Humanity will stand independent." The hegemony's response came 3 days later. At 400 hours Earth Standard Time, a fleet of hegemony warships entered the New Horizons system. Without warning or ultimatum, they opened fire. Defense platforms were the first to fall, followed by orbital stations. Civilian evacuation ships were targeted with the same cold efficiency as military vessels. On the colony surface, 30,000 civilians watched the sky burn as their world ended. Among them was Elena's sister and her family of 4. President Okafor's address to Earth and all remaining colonies was brief. "Today, the galactic hegemony has declared war on humanity. They believe us weak. They believe us primitive. They believe we will bow before their superior numbers and technology. They are mistaken." The following months saw humanity transform. Factories retooled for warship production. Research teams worked around the clock on weapons technology. Every citizen contributed to the war effort. Old political divisions fell away in the face of extinction. Dr. Sanjay Mehta led the most critical project, codenamed Phoenix. The hegemony's advantage lies in their unified communication network, he explained to the joint military leadership. Their ships move in perfect coordination because they're all connected. It's their strength, but it's also their vulnerability. Project Phoenix produced a virus, not biological, but technological. It was designed to infiltrate the hegemony's network and disrupt their command structure. But to deliver it required a sacrifice. Admiral William Chen volunteered his battle group. "We'll need to get close enough to upload the virus directly into their flagship," he told the War Council. "It's a one-way mission." While the hegemony prepared to deal the final blow to human resistance, Admiral Chen's fleet arrived at the edge of the Sol system. Outgunned and outmatched, the human vessels charged directly at the hegemony armada. "All ships, execute attack pattern Thermopylae," Chen ordered as his vessels scattered, drawing hegemony fire in different directions. The ESS Defiant, Chen's flagship, took devastating damage as it punched through the hegemony line. Shields failed. Hull breaches reported on multiple decks. But it achieved its objective: direct contact with the hegemony command ship. "Virus uploading," reported the tactical officer, blood streaming from a gash on his forehead. "Transmission complete." For a moment, nothing happened. Then, across the battlefield, hegemony ships began to drift out of formation. Their precisely coordinated attacks faltered. Ship collided with ship as control systems failed. "All remaining vessels, engage at will," Chen ordered. "Hit them while they're blind." The battle for Earth had begun, and for the first time, the outcome wasn't certain. As the Phoenix virus spread through the hegemony fleet, human ships, though fewer in number, struck with deadly precision. The tide was turning. In the command center beneath the Rocky Mountains, President Okafor watched the tactical display with Dr. Mehta. "Will this be enough?" she asked quietly. "We've shown them we can hurt them," Mehta replied. "But this is just the beginning." As the remnants of the hegemony fleet retreated from Sol, humanity celebrated its first victory. But Alina Rice, now captain of the newly christened ESS Vengeance, knew better than most what the cost had already been and what it would continue to be. For New Horizon, she whispered as her ship prepared to join the newly formed First Offensive Fleet. The real war was just beginning, and humanity was taking the fight to the stars. The Reckoning. High Counselor Mavic of the Galactic Hegemony paced the gilded floor of the central chamber, his crystalline exoskeleton catching the light with each movement. Around him, representatives from the 7 founding species argued in increasingly agitated tones. "Impossible," declared Counselor Jex, pounding a gelatinous appendage on the table. "These humans were supposed to be primitives. How could they repel our primary fleet?" Overseer Terrell stood at the center of the chamber, his once proud bearing diminished by defeat. "The humans deployed a countermeasure we had not anticipated, a viral program that infiltrated our network and severed ship-to-ship communications." "And now?" Mavic demanded. "They've gone on the offensive," Terrell admitted. 3 hegemony outposts have fallen in the past month. They're targeting our supply lines and communication relays. Most concerning," he hesitated, "they've begun broadcasting messages to all hegemony worlds." "What kind of messages?" The question came from Counselor Lurax, the eldest member of the council. "Promises of independence, statements that the hegemony exploits its member worlds, offers of alliance with any species that breaks away." A murmur of alarm spread through the chamber. The hegemony's power had always relied on projection of invincibility. If that image cracked, crush them, Mavic decided. Commit the reserve fleets, all of them. Meanwhile, on the bridge of the ESS Phoenix, Admiral Chen's new flagship named after the virus that had given humanity its first victory. Battle plans were being finalized. The holographic display showed the Arcturus system, home to a major hegemony shipyard. "Their reinforcements are arriving faster than we anticipated," Chen informed his captains. "We'll be outnumbered at least 8-1. Captain Alina Rice studied the display. "Conventional tactics won't work here, Admiral." "That's why we're not using conventional tactics," Chen replied with a grim smile. "Captain Rice, your battle group will take position here, at the edge of the asteroid field. You'll appear to be our main force." "Drawing their attention while you do what, exactly?" Alina asked. Chen's smile widened. "We're going to mine the jump points." The plan was audacious. While Alina's ships engaged the hegemony fleet head-on, The rest of the human forces would plant quantum mines at the precise coordinates where hegemony reinforcements would emerge from faster-than-light travel. The mines would detonate the moment a ship completed its jump, obliterating it before shields could activate. This violates 3 different sections of pre-war Earth Space Service regulations, noted Captain Javier Rodriguez. "We're not fighting to uphold regulations, Captain," Chen replied. "We're fighting for survival." The Battle of Arcturus became the turning point of the war. When the hegemony committed its massive reserve fleet, jumping them directly into the heart of the conflict, 40% of their ships were destroyed in the first 30 seconds. The remainder emerged into a chaotic battlefield without central coordination. Human vessels, smaller and less advanced, swarmed their larger counterparts. They'd studied hegemony design extensively and knew exactly where to strike. Precision targeting of propulsion systems, weapons arrays, and command nodes rendered the technological advantage of the hegemony ships irrelevant. By the time the battle ended, the shipyards of Arcturus were under human control, and the myth of hegemony invincibility was shattered forever. News of the defeat spread rapidly throughout hegemony space. On a dozen worlds, restless species that had long chafed under hegemony rule began to openly rebel. The Draveri, a species whose homeworld had been stripped of resources over centuries of hegemony protection, were the first to formally ally with humanity. "You offer what the hegemony never did," declared the Draveri ambassador to Admiral Chen. "Respect." As the war entered its second year, the hegemony found itself fighting on multiple fronts. Human-led coalition forces liberated world after world. Strategic resources that had once flowed to the hegemony core worlds now supported the resistance instead. In the Grand Pavilion of the newly established Coalition Command on Mars, Dr. Mehta presented his latest findings to President Okafor and the Joint Chiefs. "We've decrypted their central database," he announced. "The hegemony has been systematically suppressing technological development across all member worlds. Innovations that might threaten their control are confiscated and restricted to Council use only. Explains why they were so threatened by us," Okafor observed. "We developed FTL travel independently. More than that," Mehta continued. "The database contains records of 23 other species that were deemed unmanageable and subsequently eliminated." A somber silence fell over the room. "They were never going to let us live as equals," Admiral Chen said finally. "This was always going to end in either our subjugation or our destruction." The final confrontation came at Alpha Centauri. The hegemony, desperate and cornered, committed its entire remaining fleet, over 2,000 vessels, to a last-ditch effort to crush the heart of human space. The Coalition Defense Force, though now bolstered by ships from 7 former hegemony species, was still outnumbered. But they had something the hegemony lacked: innovation. As the massive hegemony armada approached, Admiral Chen deployed humanity's newest weapon, the gravity lance. Based on principles discovered in captured hegemony tech, but developed in directions their rigid thinking had never explored, the weapon created localized distortions in space-time. The first volley caught the hegemony fleet by surprise. Dozens of their largest ships were suddenly caught in artificial gravity wells, their hulls stressed beyond design tolerances. Some imploded. Others collided with neighboring vessels as they were pulled off course. "Continue firing," Chen ordered. "Don't give them time to adapt." The battle raged for 14 hours. When it was over, the hegemony fleet was in ruins. High Counselor Mavic himself was captured when his command vessel was disabled by a precision strike, led by Captain Elena Reyes. 2 weeks later, Elena stood beside Admiral Chen and President Okafor as the hegemony delegation entered the Great Hall of the Luna Peace Conference. Gone was their previous arrogance. They came not as conquerors, but as supplicants. The galactic hegemony requests terms for cessation of hostilities. Overseer Terrell began, his voice subdued. "You misunderstand," Okafor replied calmly. "This isn't a negotiation for peace terms. This is the announcement of the hegemony's dissolution." Shock rippled through the alien delegation. The coalition of free worlds now comprises 26 former hegemony species. Okafor continued. Your remaining territory consists of just 3 core worlds. Your military capabilities have been neutralized. Your ability to project power no longer exists. What do you want from us? Tyrell asked, the question eerily reminiscent of the one Elena had asked him 3 years earlier. Justice, Elena said, stepping forward. Reparations for New Horizon and every other world that suffered under your rule. Full disclosure of all suppressed technologies, and a binding agreement never again to form a centralized galactic government. And if we refuse? Mavic asked from where he stood under guard. Admiral Chen's expression was stone. Then we finish what you started. In the end, the hegemony accepted all terms. The 3-year war that had begun with an unprovoked attack on a human colony ended with humanity leading a new galactic order, one based on mutual respect and self-determination rather than domination. 5 years later, Elena Reyes, now Admiral of the Coalition Defense Force, stood on the observation deck of the CSS Unity, watching the dedication ceremony for the New Horizon Memorial. The rebuilt colony now served as the headquarters for the Coalition. Do you think we did the right thing? Asked Admiral Chen, standing beside her. Some say we should have been more lenient with the final terms. Elena thought of her sister and her family, of the 30,000 lives snuffed out in an instant, and of the countless others across dozens of species who had suffered under hegemony rule for millennia. They came to our home and demanded our submission, she said finally. They thought us weak because we were young. They never understood that our youth was our strength. We hadn't learned to accept limitations. We hadn't forgotten how to fight for what's ours. Chen nodded slowly. The galaxy will never be the same. Good, said Elena, watching as the memorial lights illuminated one by one, each representing a life lost at New Horizon. It needed to change. Across the stars, former hegemony worlds now determined their own destinies. New technologies, long suppressed, emerged to improve lives across thousands of systems. And at the center of this new era stood humanity, not as conquerors, but as the spark that had ignited a revolution. The Galactic Council had begged for peace, but humanity had refused to settle for anything less than justice. In doing so, they had changed the course of galactic history forever.